between the four walls of a school, a college, or a university. They almost spend 7 hours a day poring over books, listening to lectures. What kind of human being is emerging from this education? What is this education churning out? So much of life and time is being spent between the four walls of schools and educational institutions. Currently, there are almost 26 crores of children and youth going to school in India. What for? Is this not an important question every parent, every teacher, and every leader must find answer for? What is the purpose of Indian education today? And why are we sending our children to school? Basically preparing young people for a livelihood or for taking up a profession, be it a medical profession, engineering, a scientific profession, a legal or artistic profession, or an academic profession. It is focused on creating successful robots who can survive in the world and keep pace with the financial rat race. And the success of schools and colleges is measured by the number of doctors, engineers, and chartered accountants an educational institution is able to churn out. It does not care for how bored and burnt out a student is. This is the reality, right? And this is what parents want. This is what the institution wants. This is what society wants from an educator. Is any of us bothered about what is happening to the being of the child? Are our children happier, stronger, and more conscious because of the education they're going through? Or are they stressed out, irritated, and anxious? Let us have an open hearted conversation today. Namaste. I meet so many students from all sections of society. Most students are 99% of the times unclear of what they want. How will such a student ever pay attention? How will such a student enjoy learning? That is why the biggest struggle in Indian classrooms that teachers endure is not so much teaching the curriculum, but to hold the attention of the students and to inspire them. For the vast majority of students, education is a mere routine, a rigmarole they are going through. Please think about it. Is such an education enough? Is it preparing students for the complex future that awaits them? One that is filled with uncertainty and accelerated change. Let us look at history. For almost 1,000 years, India's GDP was nearly 35% of world's total GDP. How do you think this would have happened without brilliant people? We had the world's greatest education for over 1500 years. Our universities of Takshashila and Nalanda had over 10,000 students and 1,000 professors. Look at the student-teacher ratio. It's 1:10. And we had an incredible network of Gurukula education that specialized in specific branches of knowledge like surgery, medicine, architecture, astrology, and Vedic math. Their core focus was on creating a superior human being. Almost all of this was destroyed through history by foreign invasions, and the worst were the British. In 1700, when the British entered India, we were still 28% of world's GDP. By the time they left, we were mere 3% of the world's GDP. We were groping in the darkness of poverty and famine. How did they manage to bring us to such ruin? Apart from looting India in the name of taxes, they ruined our education and created a structure that will only generate clerks who will be useful to the British Empire, not fearless thinkers and emotionally whole human beings. If we have to create a mighty nation that will contribute to the well being of the planet as a whole, we need to create fearless thinkers and joyful and passionate young people. We need to create people who can find solutions to the numerous problems of humanity and earth. We need to kindle a passion in them for learning, growing, and contributing to the greater well being. Please understand that young people today are going through the biggest emotional crisis than ever in history. Let me give you some statistics to understand this. Indian youth population is more than 434 million. 7 out of every 100 teenagers in classrooms are depressed. 15 out of every 100 teenagers in classrooms suffer from anxiety. 7 out of every 100 teenagers in educational institutions are either using alcohol or tobacco. Young people in towns and cities are 2 times more prone to mental health problems than youth in villages. The fact is that in spite of all the initiatives the government may be taking, there is a massive crisis as we are speaking in youth mental health. It needs every one of you to step in. To imagine that some very young, brilliant students too are part of these statistics must be very painful. I am sure. The situation today for young people is very complex. They are going through enormous psychological pressure due to peer pressure, family pressure, societal pressure, pressure from schools, job pressure, and the natural pressure that gets built because of the biological changes in their body. This psychological pressure is pushing them towards addiction, loss of attention in classroom, and inability for creative learning, and a total loss of purpose. As teachers, parents, and leaders belonging to a senior generation, you may wonder why your young people complain of so much psychological pressure. The fact is, compared to you, most of the lives today are far more comfortable and luxurious. It is so easy for you to judge them as a pampered lot. But in comparison, they are going through an accelerated change of time that we did not go through when we were young. Your judgment will shut your heart to them. Please keep your heart open and look deeper. One of the top reasons for why young people are so pressured is the large-scale breakdown of families. This is the first generation of young people in India who are exposed to such fragility in relationships. There is a huge amount of dissonance between children, parents, and grandparents. And there is non-availability of caring adults at home. The second reason is students today have global exposure through social media, and the downside of it is the crazy comparison with celebrity lifestyle and celebrity kids. Their comparison today is not with a boy or a girl in the family or the neighborhood. It is with international pop stars and popular film stars. The result is young people who are frustrated with their reality. Youth who are dissatisfied with what their parents can afford for them. The third reason is that the youth today are caught unawares in a revolution that is sweeping across the globe. And they are battling with uncertainty that is confronting them because of this revolution. In an earlier age, it was certain that if you had the right qualification, you would land a secure job and you would live securely that way until you were 60. not now anymore. Why? We are going through a change of age right now globally. Look at history. The first revolution was a shift from animal labor and human labor to steam power. The second revolution was discovering electricity and telephone communication. The third revolution was the discovery of internet and computing. The fourth revolution, sweeping now, is artificial intelligence and virtual reality. Vertical farming, floating farms, nanorobots doing surgeries, gene editing, artificial intelligence lawyers solving your legal issues, virtual classrooms, and artificial intelligence teachers. This is the new reality. It is a very different world they are entering into, one for which they are completely unprepared. The fact is, you are totally unprepared to guide them into this world. Can you feel how unsettling it can be for young people to really face the uncertainty of their future? Terrified of this uncertainty, they are burying their heads in all sorts of escapes, like ostriches that bury their head in the sand. I am not merely talking about a problem. We have a magnificent solution for this situation. But it can only be successful if you, as parents, educators, and leaders, will become part of the solution. Sri Preethaji and I are very passionate about helping young people emerging into transformed leaders, helping them come out of their emotional issues and cultivate mind wellness. For we believe that only conflict-free individuals can truly be creative leaders. Only spiritually conscious young people can truly care for Loka Kalyana, universal well-being. They alone can emerge into transformed leaders for tomorrow. Our charitable foundation effort is called Oneness Young Leaders. We have globally nurtured over 500,000 students with our programs so far. So many universities and colleges are welcoming us to help the students with creating greater mental and emotional health. So many youth and teachers are volunteering to support their friends and students in cultivating greater awareness and art. We teach a path that is universal in its language, a path that is scientific. Ekam's path is experiential and not belief-centric. It encourages observation and inquiry. It builds sacredness towards life and relationships. We have created curriculum that can create intelligent minds, awakened hearts, and enlightened brains. If this vision of creating transformed future leaders for India resonates with you, we would love for you to join hands with us.
You see increasing number of divorced or separated couples who are unable to let go of their past. You see increasing number of young people who are unable to forgive their parents or their caregivers for their early experiences that they had in their childhood. You see business people unable to get over their past failures. They are stuck in their past, and you also see business people who are obsessed over the future. All this is completely destroying one's living. You see a chronic denial of aging. There is a chronic denial of appearance. You compare and compete with total strangers across the globe now. Your competition and your comparison has gone beyond your siblings, your neighbors, your schoolmates, and has assumed the global stage right now because of the social media. You compare with celebrities for your lifestyle. What is all this doing to you? In one word, stress. It is pushing you to unbearable stress. So let us today discuss about stress, its impact on your lives, and also the way out of it. Namaste. What is stress? Stress is a reaction the human organism gives to the pressured external circumstance. Pressure is external while stress is internal. There is a difference, and I want to differentiate this for you. When you have to juggle between two jobs at a time, that is pressure. When you have to meet with a difficult deadline at work, it is pressure. When you have to pay bills, when you run short of funds, it is pressure. When you are physically tired after taking care of, say, an aging parent or a sick baby, it is pressure. Pressure is born when you are coping with difficult external circumstance. Stress arises when you internalize that pressure. When you give in to anxiety, frustration, or agitation, these states of mind would spill over. It would color other experiences of your life. Is there a way to avoid stress completely? Absolutely no. Stress will arise. But if you do not dissolve it quickly, it becomes an inflammation of the mind. Stress is a chronic inflammation of the mind. Most of you might be knowing about the inflammation of your body. That is, your body fights against infections, injuries, and toxins in an attempt to heal itself. And your immune system would release antibodies, proteins, and probably increase blood flow to heal that area that is affected, that is infected. Chronic inflammation is when the body continues to be in that fight mode even after the danger has passed. That is, your body is in a constant state of alert. So over time, chronic inflammation has a very negative impact on your tissues, your organs, and it also causes dangerous diseases. Just as how the body can be chronically inflamed, your emotions too can be inflamed chronically. Please know this. Your emotional inflammation and your physical inflammation are interlinked. A long time ago, you could have suffered poverty or loss or failure. But to live in that same fear of failure, even after years in distress, that is chronic emotional inflammation. A couple of years ago, probably you had a personal or a professional relationship that did not work for you. Maybe you felt cheated. But to live in that state of mistrust and anxiety even after all these months or years, it is chronic inflammation, chronic emotional inflammation. Please know that when you give in to prolonged inflamed emotions, your body chemistry is changing. Stress chemicals are flooding your bloodstream. It is traveling, the stress chemicals that is so poisonous are traveling into various cells, various organs. And these stress chemicals make the communication or the signals in the body go haywire. And the cells in various organs suffer a complete failure of intelligence. And definitely there is going to be a lot of misunderstanding in the way the body is communicating. The different cells in the body, different organs in the body are communicating. That communication is going to break down, which is going to be disease or ill health. The result would also mean diminished immunity, increased inflammation in the body that can destroy your entire health. Remember, so much of the struggle against the disease is happening for you at the level of your mind. It is important that as a nation, as a race, we human beings must learn to dissolve the destructive emotions from our minds. With an unhappy mind, you are victimizing your body, you are destroying your future. When you dissolve stress as it arises, and when you increasingly live life from a beautiful state of calm, from a state of courage, then you are pushing your body into a miracle zone. Your body cells will return to intelligent communication with each other, and the result would be robust health. Now you may ask, how do I not move into a stressful state? Firstly, don't make a stressful emotional state into an enemy. Do not demonize suffering. Do not demonize your emotional stress. Understand like how satiation is followed by hunger, like excretion happens after digestion. Stress happens after pleasure. The joy of life is not in trying to avoid the challenges or running away from problems. Understand the nature of life. Understand the nature of the human mind. It only knows to function in opposites. That is, it will engage in pleasure for some time and it will soon switch into emotional, stressful states. Even if you won, say, a massive lottery, right after a few hours of pleasure, your mind would habitually go into anxiety. Do you know that it is a fact that the most people who won the world's biggest lotteries, they report of an initial thrill that passes out after the first 2 months. They do not feel a radical increase in their happiness. They do not feel a radical increase in their mental well-being after they have won the lottery. But you would imagine differently, right? These people only return to a state of mind with which they have lived all their life. When you win a lottery initially, you think of, say, all your relatives, your neighbors, and your friends who become envious of you and your wealth, and you feel thrilled at your fortune. And then probably you would compare yourself with all your competitors and feel the thrill and feel that superiority. Then you think of all the desires you will now fulfill that you could not fulfill earlier, and you feel a thrill and pleasure. After this initial euphoria that may last, say, for a few hours or a few days, suffering kicks in. Now we begin to imagine how people only love you for your money and not for who you are. Or you begin to fear losing what you have and you're constantly worrying about whom you should trust and whom you should not. Do you understand that both pleasure and pain are acts of imagination that is generated by a habit-driven mind? There is no substance either to your stress or to the little pleasure that you experience. They both are unreal and they are built on fantasy. If you can realize this, an awareness that is observing this dualistic movement emerges within you. And such an awareness is what sets you free. It sets you free of both the traps. You then don't fear suffering, nor do you fear losing pleasure. So, what are pleasurable states? They are states where your illusory sense of I becomes bloated, where you feel superior to others, you feel you are important, you feel you have gained more than the other, or you have even gone ahead of your own expectations. All the states that make you feel bigger and greater are states of pleasure, while suffering states make you feel smaller. That is, your illusory sense of self feels little, feels shrunk. You feel jealous or disappointed when you feel you are lesser than someone or that you are loved less than someone else. You feel angry when you feel you are less important than someone or you have lesser gifts than someone else. So, suffering states follow pleasurable states. But are pleasurable states and beautiful states one and the same? No. Beautiful states are beyond this divisive nature of the mind. They are not about being more or being less. They are states that happen to you when you live present to every life experience. They are states that arise when you are present to your mind. They are states that arise when you are present to people. They are states that arise when you are present to the God or the divine. Life becomes whole not because of how much you possess, but because how long you live in beautiful states. Sometimes you may just feel stuck with what has happened. You're not able to shake off your past. In circumstances like that, I want you to remember, in a forest floor, old leaves fall from the trees, and then the earth slowly digests them, dissolves them, and the tree takes back its old leaves into itself as nutrition. But when you throw plastic near a tree, that plastic does not get assimilated. It slowly chokes life out of the tree. Similarly, it does not matter what your past has been. If an enlightened awareness begin to emerge in you, every experience you had gets assimilated in you. In fact, it becomes your strength. If not for the emergence of the enlightened awareness, even the slightest disappointment, rejection, it becomes like plastic debris that choke the life out of you. So, also the challenges your mind is projecting for the future, every small lizard or gecko will begin to appear like a Godzilla. When you are in a state of expanded consciousness, you would flow with life. You would see life, situations, people, and yourself as neither smaller or bigger. You are present to reality as it is.